Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of MTV. The word is testimony. I've been thinking a lot about the word testimony this past week as I have been working through the book Draw the Circle by Mark Batterson. It is a 40-day prayer devotional, and one of the days this past week was Get a Testimony. And that began my thought process on how significant having and getting a testimony is for each and every one of us. So I want to give you 3 thoughts about testimony. First, what is a testimony? It is a first-person witness that is shared with others. It gives evidence in support of a fact or a statement. It actually is like a proclamation of what you believe to be true. That's what a testimony is. Now, why would we want to give a testimony? Well, first, it's an opportunity for us to give credit to God. It's how He is working in our life, what He is doing, and it keeps us connected to how God is in each and every aspect of our life, and it helps to keep us from taking credit for everything that is happening in our life, which would certainly be my tendency if I were not trying to work towards focusing on what God is doing. The other important thing about why you should give a testimony, your testimony, is that other people need to hear it. You know, I learned this the hard way over a period of time when I dealt with people always saying to my friends, Elizabeth is so intimidating. And I got to the point where I was really fed up with hearing that until ultimately, what was revealed to me is the reason why people said that I was so intimidating is because I dressed well, I spoke well, and I never talked about having any imperfections, any failures in my life. Thus, they thought that I was perfect. I could not be related to by the people in my life. And so they labeled me intimidating. Why? Because I rarely gave testimony to struggles, to challenges, to failures, and what I was learning in and through those. I was too busy trying to craft an image of how I wanted people to see me. And when I began to realize that I needed to stop crafting an image and I needed to start giving credit to what God was doing and sharing that testimony with other people, it really helped me to connect with people more freely, more genuinely, and more honestly. The other reason why we want to share a testimony is exactly what I was just saying to you. It makes you relatable. It helps people to see how they can connect to your story. And also a great reason why is that testimonies are powerful. Why? Because no one can say, well, that's not true, because it's your testimony. It is your firsthand experience. That's the why. Now, what about the when? When should we give our testimony? And when is any opportunity that comes before us that we can share what God is doing. When we share our testimony, ultimately what we are doing is we are loaning our faith that has been developed through the testing in our lives to the people who are hearing it. And when we hear someone's testimony, we actually are borrowing from their faith as we hear their testimony. Think of it like this. When I hear someone share how they have gone through and had success over a struggle maybe that I'm currently in and thinking that I don't know how I'm going to get through it, it gives me faith that if they can get through it, I can get through it. That's what I mean when I say that we're borrowing from the faith of other people. So when you share your testimony, you are you're extending a loan of your faith to others. What a powerful thing. Here's what's important about testimony. You've got to own it. It's got to be yours through and through. Testimony is truly best when you have lived it, when you have walked the walk and you have talked the talk. Not using someone else's story, but allowing God to cultivate your story and then being willing to share what you learned in the process. It's not enough to know what you believe. It's important to know why you believe what you believe. That cultivates a powerful testimony when you choose to actually share it. So my challenge for you this week is to sit down and write out your testimony. I'm not talking about the testimony of your entire life. Choose something that God is doing in your life right now. For my sister jewelers who are watching this video, you could do that in the form of a sponsoring activity, sharing your testimony of what God has done in your life through your premier business. I actually had the creative idea to do this MTV because of Kim Adams sharing her why bag. And when I developed my why bag, ultimately I looked at it and said, this is my premier testimony. And I have gotten a great response at my jewelry shows through sharing it. So whether you're in Premier or you are just looking for a way to be able to connect better with people, develop your testimony and then be willing to go out and share it. And I will look forward to seeing you back here for our next MTV.